A ski to you all, and welcome into another episode of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This man next to me is your thunderstick, Jesse Friedman, occasionally known as your vice mayor. And we are here just to confirm for you that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is fine. And we are taking up with MLB Diamondbacks players getting hit in the hand during spring training games. We've had enough. And we're going to petition the league to make sure this doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. I think the Kyle Hendricks suspension case is currently being heard by Rob Manfred and company.
We're going to go testify.
It is gaining steam.
Of course. We do appreciate you guys being here. Shout out to OG's, by the way. It's a Flavoring Friday. And OG's Brands, the official sponsor of Flavoring Friday, is all about having more fun this weekend. We got a lot of fun planned this weekend, so make sure to keep it locked to PHNX. We're going to be out at the Phoenix Raceway doing a bunch of fun stuff. You can also head over to ogsbrands.com to see OG's full lineup, including their two newest gummies, the OG's Naturals and the Big OG's. Find out where you can purchase them at a dispensary near you. Definitely good news, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is fine after being hit in the hand. He was actually hit in the wrist. And he was hit in an area where he's already had surgery to have like this little bone right here. You know a little bit more about
the hamate, the hamate bone.
Yeah,
it was a storyline when the Diamondbacks made the trade with the Blue Jays back in late 2022. The Blue Jays had felt that that hamate bone, it was repaired after the season had ended, and that was a season where Lourdes Gurriel only hit 5 home runs, which was kind of uncharacteristic for him. They kind of wondered, the Diamondbacks kind of wondered if that had zapped his power a little bit in that season with Toronto, and he had surgery and it was repaired. And last season, he certainly seemed to get that power back. He still wears a protector in that area. The ball hit him. Yeah, I think you're right. It was maybe more in the wrist area than the hand, just underneath where that protector is. But fortunately, it's just a left-hand contusion, nothing important. And this is getting a little old, I think. We did this with Christian Walker like a week ago.
Do not like it.
It's not great for anyone to have these things happening in games that don't matter at all, but the Diamondbacks dodge a bullet once again.
I haven't been able to pinpoint because
him.
Nice. Solid.
Not to see.
Hello, Zach Gallen.
Good to see Zach Gallen, too. It was good to see him, obviously, after the game, smiling and joking in the clubhouse like, no x-rays were needed. He is perfectly fine. And this is actually what Torey Lovullo had to say in regards to that hand injury.
I know you guys talked to Gurriel, but it's a left-hand contusion. You know, you hold your breath when you go out there, and he's in considerable amount of pain. I felt like he could have fought to change my mind, but at this point in the time during spring training, I wasn't even going to let him. And I decided to remove him from the game for precautionary reasons.
He said he didn't have an X-ray or didn't need an X-ray. Is that
correct? Yeah, correct. So there was no X-ray needed. The medical team felt very comfortable saying that he's in a good spot.
And that's obviously a big bullet they dodged, right? Of Gurriel losing any time or having any significant injury there. It keeps coming back to a conversation that we had with Jace Peterson a few days ago, where like he really stressed several times how important health is through spring training.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why, right? Like there's all this debate about spring training being too long and how necessary is it and all of this stuff. But the last thing you want is to lose any of your starting players to injury in spring training, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, it almost feels like that's all that matters in spring training because not much of it matters.
I don't care how good you do. You could have like a 176 batting average through spring training. I just need you to get out of it healthy and fine so that we can play some regular season baseball.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the position player side, because like pitchers, they have to build up and whatnot. If you're a starting pitcher, it's obviously you need spring training. Maybe you don't need this much spring training, but you need some spring training at least in order to get ready for the season. But if you're a position player, yeah, this stuff kind of gets old, and you really hate to have injuries happen. And again, in games that mean absolutely nothing, we're going to see D-backs regulars probably start playing more regularly. We're going to see some back-to-backs. We've seen a little bit of that already this past week. So hopefully this doesn't become a weekly thing where we're reporting on which Diamondbacks player got hit in the hand or whatever.
As long as they're all
yelped
fine.
in pain. Lourdes Gurriel, he yelped when this happened. It did not look good in the moment.
I think it was our pal Jack who asked us, he was like, who yelled? And it was it was Lourdes. That was a yell that came from him. Yeah,
it was either Lourdes or someone in the crowd who timed this perfectly and was in excruciating pain for some reason.
To be fair, I would have yelled like that if I was in the crowd. If I was in the press box, I would have screamed like a small child when I saw that. Because
given your connection to Lourdes, I'm surprised that him feeling pain didn't radiate to you.
Jesse, don't forget what I told you earlier in the day when I was going to get in the shower. I stepped on my cat and I tripped and I hurt my finger, very much so. And I think that was some sort of precursor to it's the same hand. It's left hand, right? Left hand.
So
His finger is useless. I think that was just maybe you think that Lourdes getting hit caused me to hurt my hand earlier?
I think that your cat.
Falling?
I think your cat is to blame for both of these injuries, Derek.
I don't disagree with you.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that. But
it's not the hairless cat that I love. It's the other cat. It's a trash cat. Anyway, you were right though. There was a
trash cat.
Yeah, one of my cats is
wow.
It's just a trash cat. I mean, it looks like it belongs in the trash.
That's harsh though.
I know. Well,
that is hard.
I do call her it to her face. I mean, it's not like I.
That's good. I'm glad. That makes it okay.
Max Simpson gives us the super chat. Shout out to Max Simpson, who's calling me Chancellor Montilla, and everybody in this room knows why he's calling me that. But I will also say that you were talking about the lineup today. There was a lot of starters in the lineup today, and of course, Merrill Kelly made his Cactus League debut. Went much better than Zach Gallen's Cactus League debut. Merrill was on fire today. Merrill went 2 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. 21 pitches. In fact, he was so efficient because he was supposed to throw 35 pitches, I believe. And
two innings, 35 pitches.
Like Gallen did yesterday. That he had to go pitch in the bullpen afterwards because he had to get to that pitch count. But
yeah, he only threw 21 in the game. He threw almost as many pitches in the bullpen as he did in the actual game. 14 in the bullpen, 21 in the game. He looked really good. Merrill Kelly looked fantastic. Yeah. The stuff, his velo I think maybe it was like 0.3 miles an hour down from last season or something, but there wasn't a big drop off there at all there was with Zach Gallen yesterday. Merrill Kelly basically looked like he picked up right where he left off in the World Series, where he was obviously fantastic.
And you asked him about the slow ramp up and how he kind of feels about the delay to seeing some live pitching or live batters, I should say, again, on an opposing team. This is what Merrill had to say about the slow ramp up.
I've enjoyed it. I don't feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. In my mind, I'm getting ready for September, October again, rather than the first part of the season or spring training, to be exact. Obviously, the first games, every game matters. I'm not taking anything away from those, but haven't minded. I've enjoyed kind of the slow ramp up, especially with how many innings that we both went last year. But I got nothing but confidence that both me and him will be ready to go when we start.
I love what he said there. Remember how much I hated what Christian Walker said about only being on the Diamondbacks for 7 or 8 months? I loved what he said right there about how he's thinking about pitching in September and October. I think that last year gives guys like Merrill all the confidence in the world that they can get back there again. And I hope it empowers Torrey a bit for Merrill to maybe lay off Torrey a little when Torrey goes out there and tries to save Merrill's arm for some of those innings that they're going to need him for in September and October,
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a theme throughout all of spring training, is that the Diamondbacks have the playoffs in mind from the outset of the season. Torrey has talked a lot about setting a standard as opposed to having very high expectations for the season. But at the same time, it's apparent with the decisions that this team is making that they expect to be in the playoffs this year. Ken Kendrick said it a couple weeks ago. They will be disappointed if they're not playing in October. And that's why the Diamondbacks are handling this the way that they are, right? You're not seeing Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen in games until, well into March, which is a kind of an unusual thing for a team to do, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the Diamondbacks' success in 2024 very much hinges on those two guys being at their best.
Right.
And I do think that it's possible that, maybe there will be a little bit more rust than normal at the beginning of the season. Maybe it will take them a little bit to kind of get into the groove once the season gets going. But again, I mean, they want to be at their best at the end of the season. And if they have to make some sacrifices on the front end, I think they're okay with that.
Mark Solera asks a great question. Mark says, don't you guys also have that mindset for podcasting, thinking about each other in October, right? Like we're trying to make sure that we know that we're going to be podcasting in October. So we have to pace ourselves.
Right.
I try to tell this guy that every single day. Does he listen to me? Absolutely not. And when I say no, he doesn't listen to me, I mean that about everything in life. There's nothing that he listens to me about. But pacing himself is definitely something he doesn't.
No, I don't do that well.
I left the game today. I sat in traffic for 45 minutes. I got myself a chicken sandwich. I was back here at the office. I drank some water. Jesse, meanwhile, doing shorts, button up right against traffic time, sending him in, making me worry and panic if he's going to beat the traffic and get it here in time. This man doesn't stop working. So, no, I mean, maybe we need to learn, but maybe we need to meet somewhere in the middle.
I think what we have to do, we have to start just doing like 15, 20-minute shows right now because we want to make sure that we're really ready to go for when the World Series comes around.
These hour shows, they're a thing of the past. We're just cutting this down to 26 minutes every single day. As a matter of fact, we got like 6 minutes left. I got to get a lot of ad reads.
Yeah, we got a lot to get in the next 6 minutes
to get to before we wrap it up. Speaking of guys doing well, Merrill Kelly, of course, we know he's a 99 rating in our hearts, but as we talked about yesterday with MLB The Show, it was revealed that he is the Diamondbacks' 5th highest rated player with a rating of 83. And Jesse wanted to get Merrill's thoughts on this, and Merrill probably couldn't care less. This is what he had to say about his 83 rating.
See your MLB The Show rating yesterday?
I didn't.
83.
Okay.
I feel like it's underselling you a little bit. What do you think?
It's going up, so that's all I can really ask, That's way above my pay grade to decide those numbers. I don't know what goes into them, and at the end of the day, it's a video game. I enjoy playing it, but I'm definitely not going to put too much stock in myself as a pitcher with what a video game number is going to say.
I mean, not easy right there, but I do appreciate the fact that all he cares about that it's going up, right?
Jesse, do you think yours and Merrill's relationship took a hit after you asked that question? Do you think he'll look at you different the next time you ask the question?
I hope not.
Jesse's journalist rating went down with Merrill Kelly is what happened. He was at like an 89, and I think he dropped down to an 86.
Yeah, I'm well down into the 70s.
Yeah, he was pacing towards a 91 after you did the thoracic outlet surgery piece, but now, I mean, I don't know so much.
Yeah, I lost all my credibility.
I will say this, Shane, of course, he's back, and we couldn't be happier that Shane's back. But when I told Shane Merrill Kelly's rating, he felt like it was egregious. Egregious! He thought, and this is a very good point, that if Zach Gallen is a 91, Merrill Kelly should be an 89.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
When you read off the ratings yesterday, that was the one that struck me as too low. I thought all the rest were pretty reasonable.
Right.
And I was like, Merrill Kelly.
Gabby as an 83 would be fine with me.
Sure.
But knowing Gabby's lower than 83 bothers me a little bit. I have a feeling he's not going to be.
I think low 80s is fair for
That's
Gabby.
Fine,
but
as long as he's low 80s, right. Yeah.
Merrill Kelly, like, if I get that he's not like a sexy name and he doesn't have star power.
Merrill Kelly, are you kidding me? Merrill Kelly?
He doesn't have star power.
Sex.
But like, for example, like I wonder what like Tyler Glasnow's rating is, because I saw someone looking at his numbers and he's like a low to mid 3 ERA type of guy. Yeah. But everybody, his stuff is
What's
nasty.
Yamamoto's rating?
And he plays for the Dodgers, and so that's hot. Yeah. So I feel like like that. Yeah. That hurts Merrill.
Interested to see what Jock Peterson's rating. And if they have included Jock Peterson riding a hoverboard into the stadium as part of the graphics on MLB The Show. But
I'm sure you will return the game. If that is not included.
I will absolutely not purchase it. But he was 2 for 3 today with his first home run, 3 RBI, had himself a great day, a great glimpse into what we could see out of Jock Peterson as the DH for this team because, man, it looked good.
Yeah, opposite field, man. Mm-hmm. Opposite field, 103-ish. off the bat, 395 feet. I looked at his homers from the last few years. He doesn't go opposite field very often. I think there were 3 of them last year. Tends to have like between 1 and 3-ish every season that are opposite field. But yeah, it was a really good swing, and he is a very big part of the middle of the lineup. We touched on him the other day as being one of the players that people might be overlooking a little bit going into this 2024 season, because he can be really good. Like against he's a limited player. You know, you want him in there against righties as opposed to lefties as much as you can. You don't want him to play the outfield very much, but when he's in there against a right-handed pitcher, he is one of the best hitters in the game at times, and he has the potential at least to be that this year.
We also had some good pitching performances from Paul Sewald, Kevin Ginkel today. They contribute.
Good as, you know, they were all right. They were okay.
Paul, excuse me. Let's start with Paul Sewald. You made me choke
I feel like it's fitting that you said they were good, and then you suddenly you have a coughing spat all of a sudden.
Paul Sewald actually threw some changeups today.
He did. Yes,
they were pretty effective. He got ground outs on 2 of them, right?
So, yeah, he's gotten several ground outs. We've seen this was his 3rd spring training start, and we have seen him get several ground outs at this point, 2 today with that changeup. And he's kind of used it to maybe set up other pitches in other situations when he's thrown it out of the zone. We haven't seen him get a swing and miss on a changeup yet, which I think he'll probably want to see at least a little bit of that in spring training to have confidence in the pitch going into the season. Again, he's setting a very high bar with this pitch. He wants to be able to strike out the best left-handed hitters in the game with it. So I think that's something to continue to watch. But yeah, he looked all right. He got out of the inning. He walked a guy. His fastball velo picked up a little bit. Still not fantastic, but it averaged 89.9 today. It topped out at 90.9.
90.9, almost 91 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
So would you calm down about his velo now?
I was never the one.
Right?
I feel like if
calm
anyone
down
was
about
getting
velo?
all worked up about it, it was probably you. But
You get worked up about
yeah, I know it's
anything?
impossible.
What?
I can't even imagine.
That's crazy.
You guys should have been here before the show. Derek almost brought the studio down with his screaming and yelling. It was incessant.
Oh yeah, I was gonna fire Damon and
like you have that authority.
Like I have that authority. I was gonna fire Damon and Jesse at the same time. Kevin Ginkel, not such a great day, but he his velocity isn't really down. He's actually today was his first. Was it his first outing against the actual opposing team?
Yeah, it was his first spring training outing. He gave up a home run on his 2nd pitch. He threw a fastball right down the middle, and it did go over the fence. But his velo was 95.1, I think, was the average today. Last year was 95.7, so not down in a significant way.
Yeah, he's right there.
Coming back from the elbow soreness that he had earlier on in spring, it seems like he's just fine, and not a great outing necessarily, but this is the first one, and yeah, I thought he looked good for it being the first one.
What do we have any updates on some of these guys that we haven't seen yet? I know Corbin Martin is supposed to pitch in a spring training game here soon, right? Do you think that's going to happen this weekend? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when, but Corbin Martin did throw a live BP session on the backfields. In fact, we have some video of that. You want to roll one of those clips, Damon? Here he is against one Randall Grichuk, who's another guy we should mention in this conversation. You see Corbin striking him out on a breaking pitch low and away. And then here he is facing Alek Thomas, and this is a called 3rd strike, and also a breaking pitch that just dropped right in the zone. Alek Thomas very, very clearly fooled there. I thought his stuff looks really good. His command was a little bit in and out at times. But stuff-wise, Corbin Martin looked really good, and Torey Lovullo did say his next step is to get into a game. When exactly that happens, I'm not totally sure. I would imagine not tomorrow, not Sunday, sometime early next week. Okay. Seems like a reasonable possibility there.
Torey did say that was the next step for him, right?
Yeah, he's not. I asked, is he going to do another live BP, or you want to see him in a game? And Torey said that the next step is to see him in a game. So he's someone that people have maybe forgotten about in the bullpen competition a little bit, but I think there's a possibility that Corbin Martin comes out and looks really good in some of these games, and maybe he still could find his way into the opening day bullpen for the Diamondbacks. I wouldn't rule that out at this point.
What about Randall Grichuk? Is he going to be available for this team by opening day?
I don't know. The Diamondbacks have not. Torey Lovullo has not said no at this point, but it doesn't seem like things are trending in a positive direction for that necessarily.
He hasn't really done much out there,
Yeah,
right?
he hit today. This was his first time
that-
facing a live pitcher. Corbin Martin was one of the pitchers that he faced. But yeah, he hasn't run the bases yet. He hasn't played any outfield. I know Torey Lovello said way back when the D-backs first got Grichuk that it was possible he might be limited when the season starts. Maybe they would start him out as just a DH, and then over time, as the ankle heals, they'd get him back into the outfield. But I wouldn't. I mean, you got to be able to run the bases. And in order to be a DH, you still have to be able to run the bases, and that's something that it doesn't sound like he's going to get to for at least a week from now. So I wouldn't rule him out for opening day by any means, but he's going to have to start picking up steam here pretty soon in order for that to be possible.
And this is all dating back to that ankle surgery, right? So
yeah,
I mean,
clearing up some bone spurs or something like that in late January. Yeah,
bone spurs that's no joke, man.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare to live with.
I'm sure you have a lot of.
I have every name some sort of
these injuries
ailment.
are all they're all very.
You want to talk
relatable.
about a hip? You want to talk about a hip replacement? I haven't had that yet, but I'm probably on my way towards that. Ever since we played broom ball, remember? That's when I hurt myself.
I didn't play broom ball.
I know you weren't there. I was the
before
representative for our team, and I did not do a good job. I hurt myself quite a bit. As a matter of fact, just bringing up broom ball makes like my entire right side kind of get a little tingly and numb.
That was pre-Damon too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pre-Damon, and it was.
I have genuinely no idea what you guys are talking about right now, and I've been here for a pretty long time.
Broom ball was like you went on ice and you played in your shoes on ice, and you like use kind of this stick to hit like a kickball type ball into like nets, right? And it was. I went pretty hard. Let's just say I went. I mean,
you're like slipping and falling on the ice constantly.
Yeah. Well, actually, like when you first get out there, it's okay. It's the fact that you're like running around on it that then makes the ice slick, because they kind of chop the ice up a little bit so that you can actually walk on it on shoes. It's.
This was back when we were trying to do a bunch of like group bonding activities for our staff meetings, and that only lasted so long because these games just made us hate each other all that much more.
Oh my God, I hate Sean so much because of most of this stuff to this day.
Like I remember when we did the trivia and I was on Saul's team and he looked at me after it and he was like, "You were awful." Like that's the type of stuff that
I played.
Oh my God. When we couldn't figure out the 4 major movies that Samuel L. Jackson had starred in, and we just forgot about Avengers and Star Wars all together.
Yeah.
We were like, Pulp Fiction and what else?
Django.
Oh, we were bad.
I would have been really good at that game, I'm sure. I would have been a big asset if I were there.
Forgetting Star Wars and Avengers was crazy.
That was just crazy, right? It was like
I might have thought of Star Wars. I might have thought of Star Wars.
Jurassic Park, right? He was in that, and anything else. Well, I don't know how to transition, but I guess speaking of assets, Elvis Andrus,
nice.
He's another guy that the Diamondbacks still have waiting in the wings to make his debut. He faced pitchers in live BP today, and apparently Torty said he's targeting Sunday for his spring training debut, so he'll be in action earlier than some of these other guys that we're still kind of got some question marks about.
Yeah, we saw Elvis Andrus working on some defense out there, taking ground balls and whatnot. So yeah, he is here. He is working, and it sounds like we'll see him in a Cactus League game here pretty soon.
Yep. There's still a lot of, I mean, this team is set, right? We know that this team is going to have a solid lineup. Yet there's a lot of questions still about how the depth is going to fill out, which one of these guys are going to make the team. I mean, Michael McDermott made a great point a little while ago when he said Corbin Martin is going to lose his roster spot to an inferior pitcher. And I could absolutely see that because I like Corbin Martin a lot. And I think that he's going to be a great weapon for this team. It might not happen by opening day, but I think that the situation is going to remain fluid throughout the season as far as their depth from the minor leagues and guys that they call up and utilize as the season goes on. I think, of course, we've talked about the difference between expectations and a standard, and that even came up again today. But I think that standard is going to be an understanding that you have to perform, and if you don't, you might expect to lose not only your starting role, but your job altogether with this franchise, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Corbin Martin, it really is just all going to be health because, the pitcher that we saw today, he did walk a couple of guys. I think he struck out 2 and walked 2. So there's clearly a ways to go command-wise for him. That is something that I'm sure the Diamondbacks will want to see come around. But from a stuff standpoint, the pitcher I saw today was pretty nasty. And Corbin Martin is someone where in the past, I'm not going to say his command has necessarily been excellent all the time, but that hasn't been like a huge issue for him in the same way that it has for some of these other relievers, like a Justin Martinez or some of the other guys who'd be in the conversation. So if you can get him healthy and you can get him enough reps in games where he's comfortable and the command comes around, Corbin Martin could have as good a stuff as just about anyone in the Diamondbacks bullpen.
I agree with that 100%. Well, we thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. And yes, I'm fine, Nicholas, with you shaming me about that. It was one of those situations where in a trivia game, an answer that you absolutely would know.
We choked it. No, we can just say it. We choked it.
But you know what I mean, right? Like, you're like, I know that answer 9 times out of 10. The one time that that I don't know it is when I'm being put on the spot.
And there's a time limit. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Right. But of course, we appreciate your forgiveness if you do offer that up. We thank you for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. Drop us a like. We always appreciate when you do that. And of course, we thank you for being subscribers on the audio side as well. Make sure you're subscribed over there. Leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback, and we love hearing from you guys. Also, I need to stop by Circle K because I am very, very low on gas. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to Circle K. So that's a fun game that I get to play. That's because
we're gonna push your car to Circle K.
That's why they have neutral on automatics anyway, right? Is so that we can push it down the street. But regardless, I will fill up at Circle K because it is the cheapest gas in this area, and because I'm an Inner Circle member, I save 3 cents per gallon every single day. If you join the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app, you can save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. You'll also get all sorts of fun free food in the app. You'll buy 5, get a 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products like pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks, and so much more. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details and get out there today. Get it in you. Get it in your car. Prize Picks, by the way.
I missed that. Don't you? Remember when the PHNX Sun Devils crew used to just say, get it in you, get it on you for every single ad?
It's important. It's important.
Empire, get it in your house.
Get it in your house, yeah. Prize Picks, have some fun, I guess. Get some fun in you. You can go check out Prize Picks, whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court. There's no shortage of high stakes in basketball this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. And of course, this Suns team, it's kind of crazy to watch right now. I don't know what to expect out of them on any given night, but I do know Yusuf Nurkic, that guy, he is him right now. So Prize Picks is really simple to play. All you got to do is make your picks and submit them, and it'll take you less than 60 seconds to do so. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily sports fantasy app. All you have to do, pick higher than or lower than on a number of apps or a number of stats. Just go to prizepicks.com/PHNX and use code PHNX for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/PHNX and use code PHNX. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. So make sure to check out Prize Picks. If Prize Picks had an option for Diamondbacks and who they would have signed as free agents, I definitely would have said there was a very high probability of them going after who they got, which is Eduardo Rodriguez. And we know Eduardo Rodriguez was somebody that the Diamondbacks were interested in. We heard that they were pursuing him at the trade deadline. They didn't end up getting him then, but they did end up getting him during free agency. Now what we're finding out, based on an interview from our friends over at Foul Territory, is that another starting pitcher who was a free agent was very, very close to signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that is Sonny Gray.
Yeah, yes. This did come out, and I admire the Foul Territory crew for,
they drug it out of him.
For getting this out of Sonny Gray.
We're not letting you leave until you tell us who the other team is.
Against his will. the Diamondbacks were, and I wouldn't say I'm shocked by this. Like,
No.
I think it was clear that Sonny Gray made some sense for the Diamondbacks. Certainly someone we talked about on this show. We talked about him a lot, actually, going into the offseason is like, if you might be able to get a pretty darn good starting pitcher without paying the Blake Snell money or, which we still don't know what the Blake Snell money actually is.
Snell money, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it made a lot of sense for the Diamondbacks then, and now we find out that the Diamondbacks were apparently pretty close to actually signing Sonny Gray.
This is what Sonny Gray had to say about it when eventually he gave up the goods.
The Reds were definitely one at the end, and it ultimately did come down to those two at the end. The Reds and the Cardinals at the end. But I went to bed a couple nights before thinking that I was going somewhere else, to be completely honest with you. And so then the Cardinals got involved, and as soon as they did, me and Jessica had a conversation, my wife, and we had talked about, that's a place that it would, when we sat down at the beginning of the free agency after the season and you kind of list all 30 teams, there was definitely a team that was right there at the top. And but then the free agency is weird. It was cool and it was awesome, but it was also very weird because then you go down this rabbit hole of like, you can see yourself and your family in this situation and you're like, oh, okay. And you get deep into that and you're like, well, and then the Cardinals call and you're like, and then you got to take a step back and say, you know what, like where when this thing started and everything, where did I want to be? And ultimately it came down to came down to three teams at the end. And
who you got to tell us who the third?
It was the Diamondbacks, the Reds, and the Cardinals.
So three, yeah, okay.
At the end, but before that, there were a few other teams that
you were popular.
We were
because you were good.
Well, thank you. Compliment, appreciate that.
See, that's the key. You get it out of them, and then you compliment them right away.
God bless AJ Przinsky.
I guess now we have to start looking at that because it feels like this is one of those situations where the Diamondbacks would not have acquired both of these guys. They would have acquired one of these two players, either Sonny Gray or Eduardo Rodriguez. So would Gray hypothetically have been a better pickup than Erod? I know we don't know that until I guess we see results in 2024, but what are your thoughts? I mean, we do have a little graphic comparison that shows what these two guys did
let's take a look at that. I think their numbers are fairly comparable from last year in some ways. I mean, they had the exact same WHIP of 1.15. Sonny Gray's ERA was better, 2.79 compared to 3.30 for Eduardo Rodriguez. You do see the FWAR. There's a pretty big difference there, 5.3 for Sonny Gray, 3.0 for Eduardo Rodriguez. Sonny Gray's FIP was really good, and Fangraphs really loved their FIP. So that's why you see Fangraphs were liking Sonny Gray so much more. And Sonny Gray also made a full season of starts. He started 32 games, 184 innings, finished, I want to say off the top of my head, second in Cy Young voting last year. Second in Cy Young voting, was an all-star. So it was a really, really good season for Sonny Gray. Like, that's the highest in Cy Young voting he had ever finished, and it was in his age 33 season. So on paper, I think we can start by saying Sonny Gray was definitely the better pitcher last year.
However, when looking at the two deals that were given, the Diamondbacks essentially almost get an extra year of Eduardo for what it would cost for Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray's deal was 3 years, $75 million with a mutual option. Erod's deal, 4 years, $80 million with a vesting option.
Yeah, and it's interesting the construction of those deals. I believe Sonny Gray is only making $10 million in 2024, and then it goes to $25 million in 2025, and then it goes to $35 million. So it's not an even $25 million all 3 seasons. He's actually making less in 2024 than Eduardo Rodriguez. Erod is also taking a lower number in year 1. He's making $14 million. So I mean, if you're asking me, would I rather on the 2024 Diamondbacks be paying Sonny Gray $10 million as opposed to Eduardo Rodriguez $14 million? No brainer, right? Diamondbacks, they should have signed Sonny Gray instead if they could have had him for that number. But at the same time, there is the reality that Eduardo Rodriguez is younger, right? By about about 3-4 years. So that's certainly a factor here. There's only a 1-year difference in the guaranteed portion of these contracts. So you're committing to Sonny Gray up until his age 36 season, I guess his age 34 through age 36 seasons, which generally starting pitchers don't age all that well into their mid 30s. So there's more risk there. I think there's a case to be made either way on this one. The Diamondbacks get a lefty. I guess there's some advantages there. The fact that Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly are already right-handed, it adds some balance to have a lefty. But if it's just me personally, I think there's arguments to be made on both sides. I just think that Sonny Gray just knows how to pitch, man. Like, he has just figured the thing out. He's been doing it for a really long time. He hasn't necessarily been the most durable. I don't think either of these guys necessarily have been, but Sonny Gray was better last year, and projection systems, it's not a huge difference, but projection systems like Sonny Gray better in 2024. And I would probably have picked Sonny Gray if I had a choice between the two. But the money is not necessarily the same, so that it's hard to definitively say one or the other.
Indulge me for a moment.
Sure.
What if we got both Eduardo Rodriguez and
I had
Sonny
a feeling
Gray?
you were going to take this approach.
What if Brandon Pfaadt was our number 5 starter? What if Sonny Gray was our number 4 starter? Or Eduardo Rodriguez was our number 4 starter? What if then, Jesse Friedman? What if then? Obviously, not a real scenario, right? Like, with how much these guys cost, there was no way the Diamondbacks were going to get at either of them. It's the same reason why when the subject comes up, which we're going to expand on a little bit more in our audio podcast on Saturday, are any of the available pitchers on the free agent market, and there's few of them that are really big names left, are any of them players that the Diamondbacks might actually look at? And the only reason why that answer is no is money, right? The Diamondbacks would love to solve their rotation, their fifth starter in the rotation, by going out and getting one of these guys with experience and not having to rely on Tommy Henry or Ryan Nelson or one of their younger players. However, they still believe in those guys. And I think at the end of the day, they believe that they can get damn near the same performance, maybe out of one of these guys that they could get out of a free agent that they bring in. Not as Sonny Gray, because Sonny Gray is an excellent pitcher. So I'm not acting like you're going to get that out of Tommy Henry or Ryan Nelson. But compared to some of the guys that they might have the money for, they might as well just go with what they have in-house and allow the younger guys to compete, not just now in spring training, but as the season progresses, compete for that spot.
Yeah. Getting both maybe a little
Too
ambitious. I mean, it'd be fine in the first year because combined they're making $24 million with how things have turned out. But in year 3, I think you'd be paying them a combined like $60 million. Yeah. I don't think the Diamondbacks would want to do. But yeah, I just think Eduardo Rodriguez is someone where the durability has never been fantastic for him. He's managed to be pretty consistent from a results standpoint, but I just think he's a tier lower in terms of starting pitcher. He's not a bad starting pitcher by any means, but
what about being a lefty though? Does that add anything? Does that do anything for you?
It adds a little bit. It does. It definitely is a point in Erod's favor, but at the end of the day, I would just want the best starting pitcher of the two. And if there was a way to get Sonny Gray without compromising the rest of the Diamondbacks offseason, does getting Sonny Gray instead of Erod, does that make it so now you can't bring back Lourdes or you can't get Jock Peterson, whatever the ramifications of that is? I'm not totally sure, but I liked Sonny Gray from the beginning. When the Cardinals signed him, we said on this show, that seems like a pretty good deal. Maybe the D-backs should have done it. And I still, nothing against Erod. I don't think that the 4-year, $80 million deal is necessarily terrible or anything. But Sonny Gray, who's just a really good starting pitcher still, 3 years feels like a safe commitment where, you're not committing to him well beyond when I think he could be effective. To me, it's still pretty compelling.
I mean, again, it's an interesting thing to think about, and I think you and I are going to take a swing at maybe some alternate timelines next week on what might have happened. What if the Diamondbacks spent their money a little differently, and like this is one of those cases that we might circle back around to and say, what if the Diamondbacks went after Sonny Gray instead of Eduardo Rodriguez? So of course, make sure to stay tuned for that. Also, we're going to be having some fun this weekend. Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out there. Jesse's going to be probably at a baseball game because that's what he does. But I'm going to be out at Phoenix Raceway this weekend because Valley of the Sun roars into life when NASCAR returns to Phoenix Raceway this weekend, March 8th through the 10th. It's happening today. They got stuff going on today, I think qualifying and such. I don't know a lot about racing, so I hope to learn some more tomorrow. And my wife is very mad at me because she loves racing and she doesn't get to go, but I get to go. And you guys, of course, make sure to join us out there for the best-in-class fan experience, and it meets racing's toughest drivers for 3 days of action, all surrounded by the beautiful Australian mountains. Whether you're a diehard racing fan or simply looking for a fantastic day or weekend out, this event promises fun for everyone, from live entertainment, fan hospitality areas, and an immersive infield experience. So get your tickets to the Shriners Children's 500 at the Phoenix Raceway right now. March 8th through the 10th promises a good weekend of good vibes for the whole family. Get your reserved grandstand tickets now at phoenixraceway.com. And also, Nicholas says, if you're out at Salt River Fields tomorrow on Saturday, make sure to go stop by, see the lads, have some chicken tendies.
It's like the unofficial diehard meetup happening tomorrow.
Yeah. Are you going to make an appearance at that?
I probably will. Actually, I mean, if I'm invited, I don't know. We'll see if they'll have me.
Do we have to be invited?
Aren't
we like the mayor and vice mayor of the diehards too? Aren't we in charge of them? No.
It depends on what they say, Derek. We aim to serve them.
Well,
so if they'll allow me to come over and hang out with them for a few minutes, hopefully they'll allow me to.
I'm a person that people typically like to invite to parties, and the reason why that is, Damon, what do I normally have in my pockets with me when I'm at parties? OG's gummies.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a million different.
Yeah, that is true. I have a lot of stuff in my
I thought you were going to say like burritos, illegal Pete's.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of things that could. Pocket burritos are killer.
Pocket burritos.
Jesse scolds me for my pocket sandwiches that I have every single day, by the way. So
I do because you're a grown man and you probably should. Learn how to bring yourself a viable.
Hold on. This man will pull out a handmade peanut butter and jelly sandwich and then scold me for my Uncrustable. Have you ever seen something so hypocritical in your entire goddamn life?
Are you 5? You're eating Uncrustables?
Shut up! You get out of here, Espo. You don't shame me for my love of Uncrustables.
They're great. I'm so happy that Espo just said that.
I'm fired up tonight.
If you brought an Uncrustable one day a week, if it was an occasional, I just didn't have time to come up with something else, that would be acceptable. But this man shows up in the press box every single day with an Uncrustable. And
I like Uncrustables.
I don't know what to do with it.
It's a snack. It's a good, healthy snack. I'm not going to listen to you guys. And this is what I need OGs for, is to get over nights like this with these coworkers that drive me insane. They drive me insane. So, of course, OGs has the perfect thing for me, which is the big OGs that I consume on my own. They tell me it's perforated. Is that the right way to say it? Perforated?
Yes,
all right.
Correct.
They tell me it's perforated. I don't believe them because I've never actually checked it out. But it is 100 milligrams of THC in a single mega version of Peg's Raspberry Orange RSO. They also have the OG's Natural, which are vegan gummies made with live rosin, available in sweet clementine flavor. To learn more about OG's gummies, where you can find them, head on over to ogsbrands.com. And I won't be shamed for my love of Uncrustables at all. I won't be. I'm done with it.
Nicholas says you need to buy them specifically to make French toast out of them.
Yes.
That actually...
You deep fry them. They have Nutella Uncrustables. Wow. Jesse. Wow. And you know what? Max is in here right now. He would be so mad about this free ad that I'm giving for Uncrustables.
It's been a pretty long free ad.
It's pretty good. But anyway, we do appreciate you guys for being diehards, by the way. If you aren't a diehard yet, join us over here. Get your diehard membership. It's at gophnx.com. You can get discounts on events like our upcoming takeover of the Chase Field Pool on July 31st. Make sure not to miss that. Not only that, but you get all of Jesse's content. You get access to our Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. We have all sorts of exclusive content just for our diehards and more. So make sure to join us over here. You get discounts with our partners. I could go on and on. It's a great thing. I forgot about the shirt. Look at all the things I listed. I didn't even bring up the shirt. You get a free shirt from the PHNXlocker.com, which means there might be a new shirt coming very soon. Maybe 2 shirts, maybe 3 shirts. I don't know. Keep your eye locked to PHNXlocker.com. And of course, join us over here and become a diehard today. Jesse, I know you're going to hate this. But we have to talk about Jersey shit again. There's more Jersey news. There's more terrible Jersey news. I know Jesse's like, you have to be kidding me. There's another problem with the new MLB jerseys. This time around, Paul Lucas, he's doing God's work over there at Uniwatch.com. He's reporting that certain teams' road gray uniforms don't seem to match the road gray pants. So the top and bottom are different shades of gray. And one of those teams is your Arizona Diamondbacks. He took a look at this picture of Gabby. I did notice that when they released this, I did not notice the pants mismatching. But now, after Paul makes this assertion, I do see it now. I do see that they are a different shade. I did think when I first saw the Diamondbacks' new gray jersey that it was a unique kind of gray color, right? It's not just your typical, like, I don't know. They're all different shades of gray, and I know this sounds ridiculous for me to be able to see it, but like it just looked like maybe it had a little bit more blue in it or something, like it just looks like a little bit, nicer of a shade of gray. The Diamondbacks have had certain road uniforms in the past that were like a darker gray and things like that.
Oh, yeah. People know about the dark gray.
The dark gray. Oh, yeah. They hate the dark gray. But I mean, I referred to our pal Jack from Sports Illustrated because Jack has a lot of experience in dealing with manufacturing, and he's actually been in the shoe industry. But we talked about him. I asked him about this because I find this whole situation to be fascinating. Nike has completely scapegoated Fanatics in this situation. Fanatics keep saying we're doing what Nike asked of us. Nike keeps saying, yeah, Fanatics is the one doing this stuff. I don't know what's wrong with them. But the interesting part about this is Jack was saying that this issue with the gray isn't really a Fanatics manufacturing because the jerseys usually come over already the color that they are. So the color thing isn't necessarily to blame for them. And Paul goes into much deeper detail than Jesse wants me to go into here about like dye batches and how this could happen where the pants are dyed in one batch and the shirts or jerseys are dyed in a different batch. And gray is kind of a hard shade to match, I guess, to make it exactly the same.
There are a lot of shades of gray.
At
least 50 of them,
according to the book.
There might be more.
I don't know. That book might be full of lies. But anyway, I don't know how this stuff keeps happening. I mean, I honestly today just stopped and thought, does this just because we can see stuff so clearly now? Like, did we care about this shit? Like, were jerseys mismatching back in the 80s and no one gave a shit because no one looked at it close enough to scrutinize it this much? I don't know what to say about this, but it really does feel like it seems like every day there's something new that's a problem with these jerseys made by Nike and Fanatics.
Can we pull up the picture of Gabby one more time? I had to sit with this image for a while. I was a little bit skeptical when Derek was talking about this. I was staring at this picture and I was like, they look exactly the same to me. There's nothing wrong. And then eventually, after looking at this for about, I don't know, maybe a full minute, is when I finally realized that yes, they are slightly different shades of gray. Yeah. And I think this reporter who put this out there, the Cardinals uniforms appeared to be especially noticeable. The Diamondbacks maybe a little bit less so. They haven't been wearing their gray uniforms in spring training games because they don't do that. So we haven't seen them actually on the field. But this is just another episode and another chapter in the saga.
Poor quality.
Yeah, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
We're a laundry podcast, Derek. This is dumb.
That's what you get for covering fucking the Jackets when I wasn't here. You know I'm still mad about that.
That's fair.
In other baseball news, Reds top prospect Noelvi Marte, no relation to Arkelte, has been suspended 80 games for PED use. That's a big hit for the Reds because obviously the Reds were looking at him as being their next exciting player in their system.
Yeah, him and like 6 other guys. That farm system has really brought in a lot of incredible prospects over the last year or so. Big loss, but also the Reds have like so many pretty solid young position players that I think they'll land on their feet and be just okay. But yeah, not a good thing. Certainly never good news, especially with a young player who's just coming into the league. We haven't seen much information on how exactly this happened or what his response is or whatnot, but never something you like to see for, an emerging young potential star in the majors.
Dave Roberts over at the Dodgers moved Mookie Betts over to shortstop.
Yeah.
And has moved Gavin Lux to second base today. And he followed that up by saying the change is, quote unquote, permanent for now.
Which is one of my favorite phrases that I've ever heard. I'm going to start using that. Permanent for now. It doesn't make any sense. It's an oxymoron.
Who's playing third for them?
For the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Is this like where it, but you're trying to like set us up to like own the Dodgers somehow?
I'm genuinely asking because
it's not James Outman, Damon.
I'm genuinely asking because last year it was Max Muncy because JD Martinez had to DH. So I'm wondering if Max Muncy is now DHing or if he's still planning on playing third base.
Shohei Ohtani.
Some guy named Shohei Ohtani is gonna DH.
So
I thought you knew ball, David.
Well,
what the hell?
To my next point, is that the worst defensive infield in baseball?
Mookie played a few games at short last year, and I thought he handled it pretty well.
An inexperienced shortstop, a guy who was so bad at shortstop he had to move to second and has like been pretty notoriously bad this spring training. And Max Muncy, who has no range and is not a
Freddie
good defender.
Freeman is a pretty good first baseman.
So your best, you have one,
that felt like,
the other three are more important though. The other three are more important.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, probably not going to be a great defensive infield. I think that's a fair point. Mookie Betts, though, I think could probably be like a league average shortstop. I mean, he's just that crazy athletic. It's a testament to just how crazy athletic he is that Dave Roberts can just plug him in at shortstop and be like, yeah, he'll be fine. That's cool. And
I
know that he probably
hope it doesn't
will
work out for them. I hope it does. I hope none of it works out for them.
That stinks. It stinks.
It does.
That's a bad on paper defensive infield. And I hope we take advantage of that with our speed.
It could be a situation where, once again, you try to figure out that you're going to have the best players, even if it didn't make sense where you have them, right? And you're going to make them change and fit as you see fit. Hopefully, it doesn't work for them. Like, that's the best case scenario for the Diamondbacks, is that it's an absolute failure over there. The Dodgers just are. I mean, it's not going to happen. But man, wouldn't that just be great? Wouldn't it be great if they were just a colossal failure?
I keep telling
just
Jesse,
like the Mets, from last year, this year.
I keep telling Jesse it would be amazing if Yoshi was just could not pitch at a major league level.
It would be.
And they just gave him $300 million.
Yeah, well,
it would be awesome.
So far, things are.
A lot has been made of Yoshi struggling the other day, but it kind of connects back to what we were just talking about, because Gavin Lux was he's kicking the ball all over the place in that game. Max Muncy also struggled a little bit defensively in that one. So. I'm also curious if the Dodgers at some point would just decide to play Miguel Rojas at shortstop. He gives you next to nothing offensively, but he is really good defensively, and the Dodgers used him there last year for the majority of the season. So maybe Gavin Lux just, and this is a tough position for him where he really has to hit in order to justify being in the lineup every day. And if he struggles in that regard at all, we might just see them go to Miguel Rojas at shortstop, in which case I think their defense would be pretty good again.
Dan, I shamed you earlier for not getting the OG's things right, but you're right. I do have a burrito in my pocket, and I should not. It's a breakfast burrito.
Do you actually?
Yeah, it's a breakfast burrito. I'll save it for tomorrow. It's fine. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it with a brand new one from Sombrer's on my way home. The reason why is because Sombrer's right now is offering PHNX listeners 20% off their orders for the entire month of March. All you have to do is give the code PHNX at checkout, 20% off your order of up to $100 when you use code PHNX at checkout for the whole month of March. Available in restaurant, drive-through, and when you order online. Not available on third-party delivery. Visit Sombrer's.com. But of course, Sombreros is a family-owned and operated Mexican food restaurant that has, of course, locations throughout the valley in Flagstaff. You're never far from delicious, time-tested Sonoran-style recipes lovingly prepared since 1986. Check out their newest locations in Goodyear, Peoria, and North Phoenix, or visit sombreros.com to find one near you. Also, while you're out there, maybe go on a little adventure with our friends at Arizona Lottery. Arizona Lottery is introducing a new unique ticket promotion called Arizona Adventure. There are 3 ways to play it. You can play using Arizona Adventure Lottery tickets featuring some iconic landscapes from here in the valley. You can also check in at geolocated adventures at 10 destinations across the state from Flagstaff to Yuma, or enter tickets online for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. The Arizona Lottery says proceeds from ticket sales support environmental conservation among other important initiatives across the state. Arizona Lottery, not just about playing games and winning prizes, it's also about giving back to the state and its communities. Visit azadventure.com for more information on how you can take an adventure for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. Big shout out to Arizona Lottery for sponsoring all of our spring training coverage. So thanks to them. And of course, make sure while you're watching some baseball games, you take in some of these wonderful locations with this azadventure.com. Well, that's all we got. Like I said, we will be back tomorrow with our Saturday podcast audio side. So make sure you're subscribed over there. That way you don't miss any of your weekly Derek and Jesse conversations. In the meantime, if you can't get enough of us, you can follow us on social media. I am at cap_Kman with a K. This maniac next to me is at Jesse N. Friedman, the producer that we are big fans of and we love, and we are his dogs. He's Damon Dog. You can find him at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's dogs. Bark, bark.
You know,
son of a bitch.
I was gonna say like that felt a little over the top from you, Derek. But
Yeah?
I honestly, after Jesse's like his lack of his just total apathy.
Did you see my disappointment in
I appreciate your effort for even trying.
Thank you.
This guy just doesn't even care. He phones it in all the time.
It's hard. Like
I did bark.
You did bark,
I
but
made
like
the
we've been
sound.
recruited by some people that want us to be their dogs. Alec Thomas, Ryan Thompson. It's not my fault that Jerry P loves us. It's not my fault that Kevin Ginkle is a huge fan of the show, Damon. All right, they all want us to be their dogs, but we are OG Damon's dogs. Say it again. Bark, bark. Thank you.
Who was with you when you were in the mud, though? That's what I'm asking.
It was Damon Dog. We were Damon's dogs in the mud. We were down in the mud together as Damon's dogs.
Was Alec trying to be your dog before the World Series
that's
run?
Fine, but
that felt like it,
to be fair, when he planted that flag in Philadelphia, yes, I did. I would have jumped ship. I would have divorced my wife for Alec Thomas when he planted that flag in Philadelphia. Damon, I have no loyalty when it comes to these guys. All right, well,
that's fair.
Of course,
that's so fair.
Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you guys so much for stopping by tonight. We appreciate your time. Hope to see you out at Salt River Fields or out at Phoenix Raceway this weekend at some point. Of course, we appreciate you. We love you. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when Merrill Kelly shoves.
We all silly like the mayor.